I grew up going to church every Sunday and participating in two church communities, one Episcopal and one United Church of Christ. And then I went to college, and I thought, yes, I could do what I want to do Sunday morning. I'll just sleep in, or I'll go to the cafe and have pancakes. But I got to a point where, I was still studying, still reading, but I didn't have a place to kind of express those thoughts, express those feelings, or build on them. And I, went back to church and felt I was in the right place to do those things.
There's also a limit to how spiritually open you can be if you don't have community. Because a faith community is able to be kind of the support structure while God really is able to do His work on you, so to speak.
The way I perceive being a religious person is I channel my relationship with God and Christ through the church itself. Whereas, at least I perceive someone who's spiritual to be able to channel God or Christ through other avenues. Like they might feel God and Christ and have a relationship with them outside of church or a house of God, out in nature, or driving in a car or wherever.
What I hear in these types of conversations is that I'm okay with spirituality. That this person would say, like, spirituality, okay, just as long as it's not too weird, you just kind of, you choose what you want. Like, you just sort of have, like, kind of a buffet selection of spiritualities that are available to you, and you sort of come of age and you pick which one works for you, and if it doesn't work, you do something else or you make up your own. So spirituality is sort of wobbly, free, very democratic enterprise where everyone's sort of equal to choose what they want, when they want, how they want. But then religion, because religion locks you in, religion oppresses, religion divides. Religion is about power. It's about dogmas, which are about power. Religions are institutions of violence and prejudice, and almost as if, and real spirituality can reside within religion, but it's almost as if religion is like this sort of hard, undesirable shell, but inside could be sort of like the good, rich resources of spirituality, but you gotta crack that shell or just get rid of it altogether and then sort of pick what you want out of it. And that's mostly what I've heard. Yeah.
I think the first thing I often feel when I walk into a church is kind of anxiety. I think, am I going to say or do the wrong thing? Is something I say going to offend somebody?
There have been times where I've thought this would be of interest, not a burning need, but this would be of interest, and maybe it would make me a more well-rounded person to explore this. Then I'll attend a funeral or a wedding, and the message is quite heavy-handed, and I think, oh no, actually, it's not for me. If I were to go to church, it would be for me to explore ideas, and I would feel, I don't know, I think I'm trying to get at this in a nice way, and I don't know another way to say it, but I do feel sometimes like the sermons are one-size-fits-all, and I would feel like I may be unfairly taking up resources if I were to try and explore that further with ministers or people within the church. I mean, who am I to kind of, the way you feel when you go to the National Health Service and there's nothing really wrong with you, but you still want to talk to your doctor? There are many people far sicker than me. Why should I take your 20 minutes?
Yeah, they're going to be nice to you, but it's so awkward. I feel like that's the huge problem with getting young adults to come to church, is that, first of all, no one's your age there. Like, no one. And so even if people are nice to you, it's so awkward because they have their own lives. It's such a, yes, I want to go to church. Oh my gosh, it's really scary.
Right.
It's that you have to initially come over that fear, and it's a really hard barrier to cross.
Either sort of more elderly people or like people who already have families, and it's just kind of awkward when you're still in that young adult stage.
There's an image that the church has. You have to speak a certain way. You have to look a certain way. And there's the whole, everyone in the church is two-faced.
I think for young people, a lot of young people, it has to do with the cultural connotations of being Christian. I always joke with my non-Christian friends about being a follower of Christ or a student of the teachings of a man called Jesus, rather than being a, quote, Christian, because in our society that designates certain beliefs on certain social issues, certain practices. If you say, I'm a Christian, to a lot of young people, that's just like saying, well, I'm holding myself to this standard, I'm better.
The Episcopal Church, I think, just doesn't know what young people are like. I was in a congregation and talking to someone, and they came to me eagerly wanting to get young people in their churches. And when I pushed them a little further, I found out that young people were young couples in their 30s and 40s with small children. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even a young person yet.
Where are you supposed to go to talk about sex? Where are you supposed to go to talk about desire, to talk about your body, to talk about intimate relationships? I've heard sex mentioned twice at the church that I now attend, both in a prayer, the same prayer, and it was a very brief mention of, thank you, God, for the gift of sex. May we always keep it sacred in marriage. You take that prayer and you present it to someone, a young adult, and you say, okay, here's your catechism for sex, for sexual behavior, and for desire. It all fits into this one neat little phrase. Say, please, oh, please. Like, have you ever been out on a Saturday night? Like, the church starts to sound naive or scared. I would say the faithful church is none of these things. Like, the bride of Christ is not a prude.
Let us know, like, we want you to come back, but, like, no pressure. Like, don't pressure us, because that's, like, has the adverse effect of what you want.
There is a great group of folks in my young adult age group that are interested in being involved in the church. I think, both engaging them and empowering them as leaders. So maybe they won't say yes to the vestry, but they'll say yes to a subcommittee to work on something very specific for a very defined portion of time.
Quiet can be difficult and calm can be difficult, and I think that is something that the church can do and help us to have the ability to appreciate calm.
Their mission is to make the world a better place, not necessarily to win souls for God, because that makes it sound like a competition, whereas the former makes it sound like you're actually doing something good for the world.
I almost wonder if you wouldn't get more young adults interested in coming to church if church were harder to get into. That could be part of the reason why I've chosen a tradition that requires a confirmation process. If it was just as easy as me coming in and saying, hey guys, I could teach a Sunday school class, that would scare me. That would terrify me to be part of a church where that is a possibility.
I think the Episcopal Church is the church of young adults, but they just don't know it because they've never heard of it.
I think the Episcopal Church is great for people in my life stage. We want to do stuff. I feel like young adults really want to be involved in doing and kind of bringing church out into the world, like soup kitchens and after-school programs, environmental, awareness programs, and I think those are all things that our church, has publicly, taken a stand on and supports. But I think the people who are involved in them aren't always Episcopalian.
Being visible
in places where young adults go, like at a pub, at a brew house, at a coffee shop. Show up in the collar and
just hang out.
And just hang out and just be seen.
So it's just
and if other people are there and saying, why is he here in his priestly collar? He's hanging out with so and so and so. Oh, P.S. That's what Jesus was. He's they are like, why is Jesus here? He's hanging out with so and so and so. He was visible.
I like the way the Episcopal Church does things.
Okay.
I think they do a pretty good job of everything.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome.